Well guys, here we have another horror film, and this horror film is called Watcher, the newest psychological horror film to drop in theaters. This film was directed by Chloe Okuno. She's done some work on VHS 94, and she's also done some short films as well. If you're new to this channel, I'd like to ask for you to hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and comment below your thoughts on Watcher. Have you heard of this film? And also turn the notification bell so you never miss any video that I make, and I upload weekly all the time. And now without further ado, let's jump into my thoughts on this brand new film. A young American woman moves with her husband to Bucharest and begins to suspect that a stranger who watches her from the apartment building across the street may be a local serial killer decapitating women. The film stars Micah Monroe, Carl Glusman, Bern Gorman, Tudor Patrut, and Gabriella Butek. Watcher was not really a film that I was really that hyped for. I watched a trailer for it once, and I have to say, going to the movies every week, I never saw a trailer in the theater for this movie at all, so there was no promotion really for this movie at all. It got a lot of buzz from a few different festivals, and I think that's what really kind of maybe had it to get a little bit of a limited release in theaters. It was only in about 700 theaters, so not really a big wide release, but a little bit of theaters to really get this film into. And starting off with the positives that I do have to say about this film is you have this woman named Julia, played by Micah Monroe. I think that she does a really good job as her role in this film. So her and her husband moved to the city in Romania, and he is really heavily into marketing, so he's always away majority of the film. He's not really much into the film too much. He kind of just goes to work and comes home late, and he has his wife that is just staying home, and she notices that this guy is stalking her and looking across the street to her apartment, and their apartment is very open. It's just kind of a glassy kind of building where you have this guy looking into this building, and there is a point where she is really freaked out about it, and of course there's a part where she tries to wave to him, and that really gets this guy's attention. But throughout this film there is a little bit of tension in this film. There are different kinds of scenes where she's being stalked, especially a scene in the grocery store. I think my favorite scene in this film is when she is on a subway train. I thought that that was the creepiest part about the film. I thought that the cinematography in this was done pretty well. And not that there is a lot of locations in this film, but the way that it was shot, it really worked for the atmosphere and the building of the tension in this. It is a slower kind of film, but at the same time, the score throughout this film, it really does a haunting kind of chill kind of way. It's not really a loud kind of score. It's kind of a gradual kind of score. You have parts in the movie where there is like piano kind of music, and then you also have parts in the film where it's a little bit kind of darker kind of psychological kind of thriller kind of music, and it's very low, but it's very effective throughout the film. Of course, you have your cliche kind of moments in this film. I did feel like this film didn't really break apart the mold from a psychological thriller. There's a lot of cliche kind of characters, such as when she says to her husband, hey, you know, he's watching me, and he's like, well, just shut the blinds, it's not a big deal. And then the cop, where she calls the cop and says that, you know, he's stalking her, he basically just says, well, we can't do anything about it, he hasn't hurt you or done anything. And I thought that those kind of characters are really cliche and didn't really break it from the mold of really any kind of other type of psychological thriller film. Now, there are tension moments in this film, but I do feel like with the audience watching this film, there may be parts in this film where they feel like it's a little too slow or a little bit boring. And I did feel at some parts in this film it does get really slow, and you know, you're wanting it to progress a little bit more. And like I said, there's not a lot of characters in this. She has one other character that I can really mention that is a dancer that lives next door to her, and that's really all the other characters that are really involved in the story. So you don't really have a lot of strong characters other than your main lead in this, and I think that does bring the film down a little bit for me. I also thought that the climax and the wrap-up of this film, it wasn't that good. It just seemed a little underwhelming to me. And you will notice throughout this film that certain things are much foreshadowed in this, so it gets to be very predictable as to what is going to happen. And I think that when you have a film like that, it really suffers to really have too much of a story that really breaks apart from any other kind of film. It really kind of baffles me a little bit that this film has a really good score on Rotten Tomatoes, because I just don't feel like this film really broke apart from any other film that we've all kind of watched before. A lot of the characters in this are, like I said, cliche, and then there are parts in this film that are easy to predict. So I don't see where this film really does anything to really break apart, to really separate itself from anything else. And that's where this film, for me, it just seems very much an okay film. I didn't hate the film. I enjoyed enough of certain aspects of this film. I think that the lead actress, I think that she has a bright future in acting if she gets any other kinds of roles. I think that she does a really good job here and really keeps you interested. And without her character, the film really would be really dull, because really there isn't any other character that really stands out to keep the audience interested. And then add on the fact that we at least get some pretty decent cinematography in this, and then we have some music that, you know, keeps us interested in trying to guess what's going to happen. But at the same time, there's not really a lot of guessing, because it's foreshadowed, and then it's also predictable as well. And also part of that predictability is the crime scene that happens in the beginning of the film. That really was really telling to this film as to where the direction of this film was going to go. And you can definitely kind of guess where the film is going to go after you are shown this crime scene, and it's all over the news, of course. And of course, the woman is watching this on the news and watching it unfold. That really is a really foreshadow of a lot of things that are going to come in this film. I also didn't really understand why parts of this film, it's in Romania language and we don't get any subtitles. It's not that it happens a lot, but it happens enough to where you're like, can we just get subtitles and know what they're talking about? I don't really think that it really technically takes away too much from the film or certain plot points about the film, but it would have been nice to really know the conversations that are going on, because I don't know Romanian language, and I would imagine that most Americans don't know Romanian language, so that would have been a little bit nice to have in the film. And then I also like to talk about, you know, special effects in this film and makeup and such. There's not really a ton of different makeup and practical type of effects in this. There's not like a ton of kills in this or anything like that, but I thought what they did, it was, you know, it was okay. Nothing really to complain about. And, you know, there's not really any CGI in this, so you don't really have to worry about a CGI filled film. But as far as the score for this film, I'm going to give a score of this film a 2.5 out of 5. It's an okay film. Most people, I think, are probably going to check this out on streaming if they are interested in watching it. It's probably not going to be in a theater near you. But if you do get a chance to check it out, I would say check it out at least once. I think that you'll at least be somewhat satisfied with this movie. I don't think anybody's going to be jumping up and down for any awards for this film, but it's an okay watch and at least a one-time watch for most people. But thank you guys for checking out this review, and I'll see you guys on my next review.